Welcome to the Michigan Golfer Show. Join us each week as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great game.
Hi, I'm Jennie McCafferty for the Michigan Golfer, and we're in Florida. We are at the Old Memorial Golf Course in Tampa, and with us is the architect of this course, Steve Smyers. Steve, it's such a treat to be in Florida.
Jennie, thanks for being here. It's great.
Well, Steve, among other things, has been designated one of the leading architects of the next generation and one of the most influential architects of his generation. That's a mouthful, but meanwhile, you are the president of the American Society of Golf Course Architects. And what on earth does that mean that you're doing?
Well, right now I'm representing all of our members around the country. We've got a very talented group of architects in every corner of the country and in Canada and Mexico, as a matter of fact. So we're here. I'm here representing them as we venture through our careers.
And at your annual meeting, you gather with your red plaid jackets for at least one photo. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, we're a very identifiable group. You should see it when we go to the United Kingdom. We really stick out there. Yeah.
What do architects talk about when you get together?
You know, when we get together, of course, we have educational seminars, and we address the issues of the day. You know, we talk about design, but right now what's confronting us more than anything else is water conservation, turf reduction, water conservation. And we share a lot of stories. We're sharing a lot of stories as far as that goes right now. And then you know, we also share stories about what we deal with as we face as the game evolves, what we need to do to kind of change with it so that we can keep up with the evolution of the game.
Well, one of the things I heard you mention earlier was that the game of golf has constantly evolved, and you mentioned one thing that was kind of funny, which was an early change in the golf ball itself.
Right. Well, you know, when we talk about the history and traditions of the game, which I'm a very traditional person, you know, one of the biggest things that sticks out to me is the game has always been innovation. The innovation of the game has always been the cornerstone of the growth and the prosperity of the game. That's why it's taken off. That's why we've got 50 million golfers around the world. And it really started in 1902 when Spalding put dimples on the golf ball to create lift and drag. So that way we could get the golf ball up in the air. And as I mentioned, I've got an article in the London Daily Telegraph dating back to 1902 that talks about what architects are going to do about the ridiculous length the golf ball is being hit of the day. So that discussion's never changed. And I think the thing that I've learned the most about it is, as architects, we just need to learn to deal with it. We need to be forward-thinking, creative, innovative people that can deal with these type of situations. And the game has always evolved. You know, we've always got better clubs that's coming on the market. The athleticism of the players is much, you know, by the younger players is much better than it was even when I was growing up. And the way we maintain turf has dramatically changed how we play the game of golf, and just dramatically changed how we design golf courses.
And the grass itself is changing?
The grass itself is changing. It's interesting. I've got a presentation on the evolution of putter design and the putting stroke and how that has changed by the introduction of equipment on how to maintain putting surfaces and through the introduction of different type of turf grasses. You know, and I'll give you an example. In 1996, we started introducing different series of bent grasses, like the A4, the A1 type bent grass, which is a real dense grass that both there and in the south, we started introducing these ultra dwarfs, which required a very aggressive maintenance and a very low height to cut. So the greens started getting faster. Well, putter design went from 4 degrees aloft to 2 degrees aloft, and the putting stroke went from an arm and a wrist stroke to more or less a big muscle stroke, all at the introduction of turf grasses. So the game has always changed, and it's up to us as architects to be innovative to keep up with the change.
One of the interesting things about your career is that you've been involved with the USGA and have been the only architect at most of the time. How do you influenced that group as an architect?
Well, the executive committee is compiled of 15 people, and they all have their own areas of expertise. A lot of them were very involved in, the financing aspect and the business of the business of the USGA. I was involved more with the turf grass side, the green section side, the environmental research side, and the playing aspect of it, the international team competitions and things like that. That was my forte.
Such as Walker Cup, Curtis Cup?
Walker Cup, Curtis Cup, Copa de las Americas team. I was captain of that, which is a competition amongst North and South American countries. And so I was involved in all that, yes.
Well, that brings us to your playing career. You started out with a pretty good feather as a member of the team that won the NCAA championship Division I for the University of Florida. That was a good start.
Well, that was fun, but I've always been in love with the game of golf. Not only playing it on a social, recreational level, but I've always enjoyed competition at the elitist amateur level. And I guess my golfing claim to fame is I've played in 6 decades of USGA competition, starting with the U.S. Junior, several U.S. amateurs, U.S. mid-amateurs, and the senior amateur. Never played in the Open or the Senior Open. Yeah.
How does your playing inform your designs?
Well, I think I've got a pretty thorough understanding of how the elite player plays and what confronts the elite player, and I think that's probably the biggest misconception in the game of golf. In order to challenge an elite player, it has to be punitive, and that's exactly the opposite, because they can work around hazards pretty good. It's the subtleties and intricacies that they have to make decisions. And once you start forcing them to make decisions like different awkward lies in the fairway and things like that, that's when you really get the elite player. And I'm going to use Nick Faldo. Nick Faldo, when he won the 1996 Masters on the 13th hole, he stood over his second shot, and he had a 5-wood in his hand, and the lie of the ball, and he put that 5-wood back behind the ball. The lie of the ball, the club just kept closing. He said, I'm going to hit it way left. So he made the decision to try to hit a long iron. And that was probably one of the best shots of his life. And he won the Masters. So those are the type of subtleties that an architect, by understanding the game of golf at an elite level, those are the type of subtleties you put into the game that confound the elite player. But the average player can very much play and enjoy the golf course.
Some of that might have come together at Olympia Fields when the U.S. Amateur was held there, and you had recently renovated that course and made a lot of changes. How did you see that changing the way the players approach that game?
Well, that was an interesting situation. Olympia Fields is a wonderful 36-hole complex, and then North Course was the famous course that hosted the U.S. Open, and the South Course at the time was a wonderful piece of property, a much nicer, enjoyable piece of property than the North Course, but the South Course was really not anything near championship level. So we identified the fact that if you could have a comparable golf course on the South Course, you could start to attract major professional, or amateur and professional events that required 36-hole venue. So the USGA selected the Olympia Fields to host the U.S. Amateur because it had 2 36-hole championship golf courses.
Amazing. So, coming up this summer is Olympic golf.
Yes.
And I understand you're building a course in Rio? Is that right?
We have a golf course on the drawing boards just north of Rio. We sure do. I'm familiar with the Olympic course, familiar with the venue. I think golf in the Olympics is going to help propel and the game of golf worldwide. It is a worldwide sport. We all tend to think of America, but it is a worldwide sport. It is growing very much, and it's kind of interesting. In Asia, in America, we're an aging population, but in Asia, the game is taking off dramatically, and the majority of the people who compete and enjoy the game of golf in Asia are in their 20s. So that's really going to help propel the game of golf forward there.
It's going to be exciting to see that happen. And
Right.
About growing the game of golf, some of the things we've seen are more tees that are better for women to play, and also more family tees where they give a little kid a chance to hit from the fairway. What do you think about some of that?
Well, I've always been my as president of the American Society of Golf Course Architects, we're concerned about the health of the game. We want to keep the game healthy. We want to do it through all of our designs, and through the designs, it is very much about being open to players of all abilities. We want to get the kids out there. We want to make it comfortable for the beginning ladies to get out there. Plus, we want to get it comfortable where the elite junior golfers can continue to go out and play and to continue to improve, because once they have the ability to feel that they can improve, everybody's going to keep wanting to play the game of golf. So the health of the game is extremely important to us.
Growing the game sure is important. I have to ask one question just because it's been on my mind for a long time. You've built many courses in Florida, and you built one in Michigan.
Right.
What did you think about when you first saw the land there by Lake Michigan for Lock-and-Heath?
Well, Lock-and-Heath it's a stunning piece of property. It really is. And, the name Lock-and-Heath is Lock is lake, and heathland is a sandy, scrubby soil. So, and that's almost perfect ground for golf. So when we saw Lock-and-Heath, we realized it was a perfect site. So, Lock-and-Heath has got a bright future ahead of it. It opened September 11th, 2001. It couldn't have been a worse time to open, but it survived the downside economy in Michigan, and it's got a very bright future ahead of it. Yeah.
It has some beautiful bunkers, and bunkers are one of the things you're kind of known for. Can you tell us just a little bit before we finish up about your philosophy of sand?
Well, it's kind of interesting. When I started my own business, my wife Sharon is from Australia, so and a good player. So we made a tour of all the sandbelt courses, and I did that once a year for 10 years. And they were all Alistair McKenzie courses, and he was known for his bunkering, and that had a huge impact on me. And most of the sites that I have gained that reputation from are flat, mundane sites that are sandy soil. So we use that sand. That was our only feature that we could use. We didn't have topography, we didn't have vegetation, so we used the sand, and that reputation's kind of stuck. Yeah.
Well, there's plenty of sand in Florida here at Old Memorial, and plenty also at Lock-and-Heath, so it's really kind of fun. It's been a treat talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure being here.